think the honorable thing for our species to do is deny our programming. Stop reproducing. Walk hand in hand into extinction. One last midnight, brothers and sisters opting out of a raw deal.
Do not trust any friends or family members. I repeat, do not trust friends.
Yeah, like I just want to get exhausted and let the car take me down the highway. What the fuck?
Yeah.
What's the problem?
Like a baby just napping to motion.
Like a baby.
That's my old man dream.
Yeah.
Just being in a car as a baby?
Well, being in a car and then letting myself lull to sleep as if I was a child in a car.
Well,
Okay.
the best case scenario
We're
would
saying
be
the
like,
same thing.
yeah,
well,
like that Taxi and Total Recall, but we'd like it to be like you want to be able to set it up for yourself, like kind of like my brother does with ChatGPT. You want this to be able to talk to you like you're a pirate captain. Or captain.
Yeah.
That's
And
right.
you off to him. You just want to get in drunk, get in the back, and be like, "Fuck you,
Yes.
bitch," and
Exactly.
have it take you where you want to go.
And preferably not have it try to kill you. Like, because I feel that I don't know if we talked about the Johnny
What?
Cab in Total Recall, but I felt he was like villainous, and he actually like kind of, when he doesn't pay his fare or something like that, he tries to murder the guy.
Yeah. There is something murderous about that little fucking creep.
Yeah. I guess it's tough, man. Like, taxi business is tough.
Yeah.
I like that we couldn't envision a future in which, like, it's still a very cash universe over there. Like, the guy's got to pay his fare, right? Like, what do you? You're not going to do that with a Johnny Cab. You've got credits and a system. You've already plugged into Elon Musk's such and such and PayPal this and Google that.
The funny thing is with the automated lifestyle, like the automated lifestyle, the digital credit, all these things, I feel like that's going to degrade as the class war continues.
Ooh, I like the sound of this. Go on.
Like, how can you possibly have everyone running these fancy devices, having high credit scores, and running around in this like technical, like this beautiful technical futuristic world, and have class separation, and continue to suck us fucking dry with capitalism? Eventually, the class divide, it's already getting there. It's just going to be so bad that we're going to have to just continue to run on cash. It's going to just get filthier.
So you envision a future in which, like, no one's going to use Google Pay or...
No, yeah, I'm thinking more RoboCop.
It'll be
looking like RoboCop Old Detroit's looking like everywhere now.
Yeah, that's fair. Old Detroit looked like that then too, though.
Yeah. But now Toronto looks like that. So does St. Catharines. So,
it's not. It's not. Actually, I'd say St. Catharines is worse than Toronto.
St. Catharines had some fucking barrel fires and meth heads. You have to go in like a group of 5 with like a fucking billy club now.
Wow.
Yeah. No, I believe
Nice.
that.
I do believe that.
Yeah. Fucking. Oh man. I don't know how to transition to the X-Files off anyway. So we're just going to transition to the X-Files here on the Extinction Agenda with James. Sorry.
Oh, James.
And Chris.
I forgot myself. And today, we're going to conclude for now, I guess. One day, I'm sure we'll return to the X-Files, but for now, we're going to conclude. Maybe we'll call it phase 1. We'll do like the MCU. Phase 1 of our X-Files coverage with the X-Files movie, which came out in June of 1998. It was filmed between season 4 and season 5, but it was not shown in theaters until between season 5 and season 6. And it was meant to be... I don't know what they meant for it. Like, there was like Chris Carter was thinking like we're going to do 5 seasons of the X-Files and then we're done. At that point, we're going to turn it into a film franchise. That was his vision, and this is well documented. But then Fox was like, and Fox, the studio, was like, you know what? We're making a lot of money off this, so we're going to keep the TV show. And he had to make a choice as to whether or not he was going to leave or he was going to stay, and he decided to stay. just because I guess he didn't want his baby handled by anybody else, and he was working with some people, and I guess they had a production company, and so it was going. The money's there, man. They backed a dump truck full of money up to his house, and he didn't say no.
It's tough to say no to, as any conspiracist will tell you.
Yeah.
That does put Duchovny's decision to like bounce on the franchise in perspective, though. If he thought, it's supposed to be a 5-year contract, and I don't know what the fuck we're gonna do with this character. Maybe that explains it.
I believe that was part of it. It also was just like a lot, man. This was a lot. The grinding nature of 20 episodes per season. And his wife Téa Leoni lives in Los Angeles. And so that's why they changed over from season 5 to season 6. They moved from Vancouver to Los Angeles.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Because Duchovny was just like, fuck this. I'm like, either we move to Los Angeles or I'm leaving the show. So
it's funny too. Most shows like in this vein of show now, they won't run more than 10 episodes a season.
Oh, and they can barely do that. It's fucking embarrassing. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, things have changed, man, and I don't think they've got any better. Like, I don't know what the problem is. I guess it's a grueling experience that costs a lot of money. Maybe it's money. I don't know. The bean counters got involved, and they were like, we can make just as much money with 10 episodes as we can with 20. Because advertising's different, television's different, Netflix is a thing. You're like, I don't know, man.
There's
HBO
a different
came
role
around.
for TV as well. Like it used to be commercials. Like you'd have that format, you'd have the filler, and
well, that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is still of an era, and they're making the jump from TV to movie here, and I didn't watch this in theater. I don't think I did, although I would have been pretty excited.
I did.
Yeah. Okay.
And I remember I had the same reaction I had to it now, which is like, Julia asked if she should watch it. And I was like, I just made like a weird like monosyllabic noise, and like it's got some stuff that's good, and but it's also has some very questionable stuff as well. I don't know. I still don't know. I've seen it multiple times now. I don't know what to think about it.
Okay. I think the pat thing to think about it is that it's just it's a TV movie. Like, it has a much higher budget, but it ought to have been a TV movie because it is, for all intents and purposes, a TV movie. It's even directed by like the director of the TV show, and written it's the same production crew, so far as I understand. Even Mark Snow's doing the sound and everything. So like they're just trying out making a movie, and it feels very TV. Most of the time, like I think you see the money in the special effects and some of the sets and stuff. Like it is bigger, but it's not fundamentally
swearing
different.
A lot.
That's right, and they can swear. Yeah. And they don't even do it well. What did you think, James? When was did you ever see this movie? You must.
No. You know what? I must have.
Yeah.
In like the year, like in around this time, like, because this was 98, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't recall it.
Yeah.
And it was very much like, it was very akin to like an extended TV episode.
Mm-hmm.
But there were because there was a great budget. There was a great grandiose to it. The journey was crazy. Sets and travel and things were fantastic. I don't know. There were a lot of beats that I was really impressed with.
Okay, good. All right. So I like this movie. I just think it, just as for instance, right? They're in their fucking car, and they reach that crossroad thing where like, oh, I think we should go left. I think we should go right. And it's a very cool scene because Mulder at that point, he chooses the middle path, right? And it's the crazy literally off the beaten path. But then they start the X-Files music. Dun, 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 it's all like, it's got to be a minute and a half of them just doing nothing. It's just driving in a car to the theme song. And I was like, okay, all right, you guys don't know what you're doing.
There's some I didn't know if I was going to complain about this or not, but like there are some things that could be cut, including the opening scene where it flashes back like 350,000 years and like they're cavemen stalking aliens, and then immediately followed by a much better opening of the kids finding the black goo in the cave and like it like crawling slug like underneath that kid's skin, like filling up his eyes. Like that's creepy.
Yeah. I don't know what the opening. Go ahead, James.
Sorry, I was gonna say caveman versus alien. The caveman was bad.
Yeah.
I'll be first to admit, like I saw that caveman makeup and I was like, fuck. Like and you could have done anything else. Even having like the alien in the rubber suit was scary and effective, and there were quick cuts, but he really didn't need to fight a caveman. I don't see that.
Yeah, it doesn't add anything because no one ever comments on it later or anything. Like it doesn't become important to anything.
Except that like the English guy says like, yeah, we know that it's the original inhabitant of this earth, but like then you told us that anyway, so
yeah.
And
it's not actually clear that it's the original inhabitant of Earth. Like
that's true.
That's not communicated to us in this. So what do we get out of this? I think we get two things. There is a fascination amongst conspiracy culture with like the Antarctic Nazi aliens kind of thing. Like there's something about snow and the alien, that whiteness of it, that's like an image that the conspiracy culture and UFO culture, together kind of always harken back to, like the Hyperborean origins of the alien and shit. You also get like it's kind of like a dark version of the ancient aliens hypothesis as well. So whereas we'd see something in Prometheus where like like it's a genetic experiment or whatever, like this too is a genetic experiment, but this is what genetic experimentation looks like on the X-Files. And then I guess you also, maybe this is a third thing, you also kind of, I guess you get 2001, and I know you haven't seen that, Chris, and we should really fix that. But it starts off in the caveman days or whatever. Like I don't think they're going for exactly the same thing, but like I think this is what inspires all of this. And does the movie need it? I don't think so. But if I had to posit an explanation of what they thought they were doing here, a bunch of that shit. Yeah.
There's a desire to impress. Like it's like almost like you're on the proper scale if you're introducing like the grand sweep of history and dropping some aliens in there.
Yeah, and that's like it's an excuse for action. It opens it like the X-Files is not like this. It is punctuated by extreme violence and the occasional action sequence, but this movie is very low on action. There's a lot of running or driving in cars. Well, there is a big explosion, but otherwise
there was a bee attack.
That's running though. That's right.
Yeah. Back to running. You're right.
Yeah, there's a car explosion.
There's like an alien mutilation. There's some hiding. Yeah, there was like a Timothy McVeigh building explosion.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. We were around. There was I really should be hating on this movie is like very hard right now, but I don't know. I feel like there was a lot of good there's a lot of good beats, a lot of good I like Mulder and Scully's dynamic. I like the acting, even though that's got its own sort of like low key vibe to it because it's a Duchovny. But like there was just like I like the doctor that got paved over as a pervert. I like that there's like an underbelly, then there's the cops, then there's the government, and at any given time any of them can be sort of like influenced into basically like arresting the other one or smearing the other one. And then the alien explanation later on when they were using like the human bodies like ended up being like you sort of flushed it out a bit more, and they were using them to gestate and sort of like was basically like we were going to be like colony food, which is a little is an alien ripoff of
It's a
Alien.
pure
kind of.
ripoff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was done differently. It's done in a threatening way, and it's done like, and then there's like, I don't know, there's like human human like co-interaction with the aliens, or that's like, I guess not, whether it's there or not there. I guess you're sort of left to your own devices to sort that through.
Like the conspiracy element of like
Yeah, because like they
yeah.
had a base set up there, and it seems like they're like sort of like enabling it in a
Yes.
way. So that was sort of just like, you're just left with that as well. So I don't know.
I agree with you actually. Like I think bottom line, it's a very watchable movie.
Yeah.
It's enjoyable.
And I've seen it a million times, and like I watched it with great pleasure this time.
Yeah.
No, I remember I had the old VHS. I remember I don't think I watched it all the time, but it got some regular viewing like back in 1998 and 1999. And yeah, putting it on now, it was like, okay, great. I think I like it a little bit better than I did back then, because at least I understand. It's weird to think that there was ever a point in time where this movie sort of mystified me and I didn't know what was going on, because like watching it now, I'm like, I see what's going on here. It's conspiracy, counter conspiracy, biological infestation. I don't know, like it's not actually that complex, which is fine. I guess I didn't need it to be. I guess that's what other adults felt back in 1998. The Timothy McVeigh thing. This is so Chris Carter. So Timothy McVeigh, he blows up the Oklahoma City, the federal building, because he's read the Turner Diaries, and he believes in like like sort of FEMA camp conspiracies.
Mm-hmm.
And so he blows up the thing or whatever, thinking that I guess he's stopping the New World Order from materializing or something. And Chris Carter, actually, at this point, the X-Files starts to come under sort of semi-fire for being the type of show that it is, for being anti-government to such an extent, to being like spreading this conspiracism. They even get called out by Carl Sagan, of all people.
Wow.
Really?
And yeah, which is kind of nice.
So, because like even the Timothy McVeigh thing, like I only said that because visually, when the building comes down,
oh no, it's a direct.
It seems like that's what they were beating on.
That's exactly what they were. Yeah. So this is like
such a touchstone of conspiracy culture. That and FEMA conspiracies, like I'm sure we'll talk a little bit more about that, but.
Well, this movie represents my first introduction to the FEMA conspiracy, and for many other people as well. Like it had not hit. Like it is a response to the Clinton administration amongst the fucking militias and weirdos, because FEMA didn't come into existence until 1979.
Yeah, Carter introduces it.
Yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, this was my introduction. I mean, like, and I wouldn't say like a stranger to conspiracy culture at this point, but it was a new little bit that I was unaware of, which is fine. But I guess it shows like that the X-Files was, and you saw this in season 5, like where, and I guess maybe we'll talk about that a little bit as well, Chris. The show is responding to the criticisms of itself, and also like real world, and sort of updating itself like a Wikipedia article of conspiracism throughout. And I guess that's why we're seeing FEMA in this movie. We see Oklahoma and we see FEMA, because those are kind of the new sort of flavors. And it did put me in mind of like all those episodes. Every episode of the X-Files, you got Madeleine Albright's photo in the background, and you got Bill Clinton's fucking face all over the place. It's such a Clinton era program, yeah, I don't know. It doesn't surprise. Conspiracism always rises up when the Democrats are in charge, because the right wing loses its fucking mind.
Yeah, I guess that's it.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, sorry, very watchable movie.
I think that the scene, like really, the bomb scene was really great. The tension of it, and you got your Peter Watts / John Locke there, just popping in. I thought he was gonna have a much bigger role, but just there to kind of sit in front of the bomb, watch it go off, to make sure that that kid and then the other 3 agents that were possessed by the black goo got taken care of.
Yeah, I did. I actually called Kate downstairs. I was like, "Hey, John Locke's in this movie."
Oh, short-lived then. Was she excited?
Yeah, he didn't make it for.
Oh.
Okay, so I know who this, but why is John Locke important with this actor?
Nothing. He's a beloved actor from the Lost franchise, which Kate's a big fan of.
Gotcha. Okay, he's from Lost.
Mustache is ahead of its time too. Great mustache.
That's true. Yeah, he's got just a regular dude look to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that.
And yeah, so we're at the federal building, and I like that Mulder's over in another building, just because he's like, well, everybody's looking over there. I think I'll look over here. And then the conversation between him and Scully is very enjoyable in that, like, the exchange about the locked door. She jiggles it and she tricks him,
Yes.
Yeah, like there's nothing like outrageously hilarious, but that's, it doesn't need to be. It's just like
the dynamic between them.
Yeah.
I love that, like, they're forced to do like actual regular FBI shit, and it's driving him crazy. Like, he's so bored.
Well, admittedly, they've been through a lot. Like every once in a while, he'll just, like, the drop of a hat, he'll go to fucking Alaska, get a trawler, and just make his way as far as he can go. You can find a submarine and shit, and like.
Yeah, there's a, like, Skinner has to get the bill for all that shit. Because how he just flies like anywhere at the drop of a hat, and they show back up for a fucking like court date or whatever after he drags her around through like some nightmare escape.
I do think the timeline on this show kind of, like, I'm more ready to believe that aliens exist than that this entire plot could have been over a 48-hour period.
Oh shit.
Just like the amount of travel that occurs and like the sleep deprivation. Like Dana Scully, when she finally shows up in front of that hearing board, she's got a little dust on her. She hasn't slept in days. She hid in a refrigerator.
With like bodies like dripping onto her.
Yeah. Bodies made of goo that have been like.
Is that actually the timeline? Everything happens within 48 hours?
I think so. Like, it is a very small. So yeah, you've got the hearing, and then like it's within a few days for sure.
Yeah, that can't be true, because even just going to the bar and meeting the sketchy like conspiracy book writer, that has to be a night.
Okay, well, there's that. No, that is at least one night. But then he goes straight over to see Dana, right? He drives over drunk as a skunk and picks her up, and then they just go off on their investigation. And like I think so. Or they go to the building. They go somewhere. They travel to site to a hole in Texas. No, they go to fucking Texas.
That's right. And
okay,
they find
so the
kids in the middle of the day. Yeah.
Okay, so then the hearing happens after that. It starts after that. And so then I think there's 48 hours later.
Okay.
Yeah. So it is within a 48-hour period. But not the whole movie.
Okay.
But
once
definitely, like, yeah, the second, yeah.
That's hard to believe.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think I commented on this in when we were talking about the X-Files comics, James, but like I like that this movie believes that I guess I'm just repeating myself, but this movie genuinely believes that, like, if you could just put evidence in front of a panel at the FBI, the conspiracy would be brought to its knees. They're really. It's like,
she's
okay,
like, I've
guys.
got evidence right here. They're like,
yeah,
but they've already like railroaded them like 3 times.
That's
insane.
X-Files are closed. It's no, but it shows a real like almost like West Wing Aaron Sorkin-esque faith in like in checks and balances within government and stuff. But actually, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation is not part of those checks and balances. but sometimes the law needs to take a hand in this affair. Anyway, yeah, I just find that so charming. Like they really believe that this is worthwhile what they're doing. Whereas, like the only Mulder would be part of a militia.
He probably would be because he's straight up quoting like William Cooper shit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm sorry. I guess it's Alvin Kurzweil who said they dropped some quotes there about the silent weapons for quiet wars.
Holy fuck, you're right.
Some of the phrasing is like straight out of like the like far like this is a guy in conspiracy culture who's like had a very popular, well, quote unquote popular radio show, and was actually gunned down by the FBI for basically refusing to pay his taxes, but then got into a standoff.
Is that what they're riffing off of with the old OBGYN guy?
Yeah.
Well, they are and they aren't because like
a number of things.
Yeah, like some of his quotes evoke conspiracy culture at the time, and yeah, like Bill Cooper and stuff. But he's not a Bill Cooper type character. Like he's your typical, kind of your typical conspiracy theorist. One of the rare conspiracy theorists that we actually see in the sense that they produce a document that has citation. Like we don't see the citations and stuff like that, but it's strongly suggested that like his books are actually exposés of things that are actually going on, and then and like you were saying, James, they smear him. They make him a kiddie porn guy, and
there's so many red flags about this guy, but like number one is when he's like, oh, what are they doing? Like putting kiddie porn on my computer again? It's like happens to me frequently.
It just goes to show like Fox will go where the evidence requires, right?
Yeah. But he trusts some very sketchy and it, like really pleased that guy does turn out to be a shitbag.
It's kind of
it's a gray area still for him.
Because he's right. You'd be up shit creek without me.
Yeah, and then but he is like writing the shady books in the background, so like right midway through the movie, the guy goes from being like a very good lead in to what's important, but they dick with you a little bit because then they throw you that curveball, right? But then later on, Mulder goes and pulls his pictures out in his home, and there he is. He's in the fucking picture with his dad.
Friends.
Yeah, and it's like he's just like they sort of like they demystify him, and then they sort of bring him back around, and you've got Mulder, like you're there with Mulder. You're Mulder. You're the POV of Mulder. You're basically you're trying to fucking decipher whether or not this guy's actually like credible or not. He's like sort of this middle gray area, but
yeah, he's kind of played like it seems like he's maybe met Mulder's dad, but like Mulder does accuse him later of like, you didn't know my father at all, and it seems like he has a sense of the outlines of the conspiracy, but he's using Fox to dig deeper into it.
How the fuck did he know about the thing in North Texas, though? That's not quite clear to me.
No.
No, I guess he had his, he's got his sources and stuff. Like I think Kurzweil, there's a whole episode that ought to be devoted to Kurzweil. Day in the life of Kurzweil. His fucking reading shit on the internet.
I'm fascinated by his move, like when he confronts Fox initially in the alleyway. Mulder's like pissing against the wall, and then he's like blah blah blah. And then he just like moves in smoothly to the same spot and starts pissing himself. Like
getting especially for a guy that ends up being on a kiddie porn like it's issue later on.
Yeah, he's got a vibe. Yeah. There's a couple of things. A couple of things get revealed. What? A couple of things get revealed through the Kurzweil character, though. Not revealed, but I don't know. It's an important part of the X-Files is Fox's daddy issues, like the father a betrayer, kind of thing. And then we saw that with also their depiction of the cigarette smoking man. Like it's very much a fathers and sons thing, and so critics talk about it as like an intergenerational drama, where the children are dealing with the sins of the fathers and stuff like that. Very classic kind of idea. And then I think, and so Kurzweil kind of fills in that spot because I think Mulder's dad is dead at this point in the franchise. So you gotta evoke some of that. And then there's Scully getting damseled is a really important part of this franchise. She does not, for all of her kick-ass depictions and her quirkiness and charm and whatnot, like this show really relegates her to a lesser role than David Duchovny. And I reading about the production or whatever, she was paid less.
That's sort of a, not to be a dick, but that's sort of that's an era thing too, right? Like,
yeah, par for the course, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't first like I just find it is I guess it is, like it's just I don't know if it's any better now, but it is.
But clearly she's equally important to the chemistry and the balance between them. As the movie, as the show, like is like making overtures to that too, like like you ground me and like I'm better for your skepticism. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah,
I'm a whole person. I think he literally says that.
He does say, I'm a whole person because of you. I wrote that down.
Yeah. So she kind of disappears, which is a shame. Like, so it's one. I suppose it's a shame. I guess like for feminism or whatever. But it's also kind of a fucking shame because she's cool to have around as an actress, as a person making faces on the screen and moving around and saying words. Like I like to watch her do her work, and she does an excellent job with Duchovny. And like the show robs us of that to give us like a fridging, literally.
Yeah. I'm kind of when she storms through the building in the bomb threat, and she just like tells that guy like, don't think, just fucking like make the call right away.
Yeah,
do what I say.
Yeah,
awesome. Yeah,
I probably would do that.
Yeah, it's fun to watch her work.
Yeah, she is far more captivating than him. She was throughout, even physically after being kidnapped and encased in shit, she still like picked his fucking lifeless beta ass up off the fucking snow and like held him up like a baby. And she basically was like intubated into a fucking ice capsule with fucking alien DNA gestating inside of her. So I mean, I don't know. I don't feel like they quite did her that dirty, but no. I do think that obviously if there is a pay discrepancy, that the fucking police should be called because that's insane.
That's true. Yeah. She made some horrible noises when that intubation came out of her.
Oh my goodness.
It's hard. Like they really let you drink it in. Like her eyes were fucking wide and that fucking thing was dripping mucus and jammed in her mouth and it just stayed there.
She looked awful.
Duchovny just like was like, you know what? I'm gonna give her the shot first. And I was like, oh, fuck.
That's one thing this show is very good at. Now, like watching. I watched a bunch of episodes from season 5 just to kind of get the vibe going. Like, what would the audience have experienced going into this movie? And it's very different, but we'll get to that in a moment. But like with the production, like it's not just the fact that their production quality is up. Like the team is very good at horror and darkness and stuff. Like, and the only thing that tends to make it bad, I think, is whoever's lighting it. Like wherever the camera's at. But the production crew is fantastic. And like that translucent bodies are all fucking gross, but I could see them doing that.
That was really well done. No, yeah. I don't know. The TV show seemed to cheap out a bit more than that, because that stuff was really well done. The bodies and the special effects on the autopsy and stuff. Like the practical effects were pretty good. alien attack on the guy in the that guy had a lot of balls too. The guy in the basement.
Oh, he was gonna face the alien. He's like, I need you guys down here. Like,
yeah, he's like, oh, I found you, little fucking sweetheart, and he's got his little needle. Are you insane, dude?
yeah, just
And the
lock that
fucking
kid
thing-
up.
Yeah, it turns around and looks at him, and it's like 6'8". You go, good job, buddy. You know.
Oh.
Anyway.
Admittedly, the fate of the human race is at stake. But still, you
Oh,
got
yeah,
the
that's
impression that he thought he could jab the thing and get out of there.
Yeah,
He had the wrong idea.
And the funniest, I believe, the funniest thing that happened in that whole exchange was the rest of the team's reaction.
Oh, I
Was
love
like
that.
they were the everyman in that situation. They were like, well, gonna have to seal this baby up and get the fuck out of here and build a park.
Yeah.
Just the like shoveling dirt on top of that hatch is like so cold, but like totally understandable.
No, yeah, that's absolutely like the right choice, like for all intents and purposes.
Yeah, you don't want that thing getting out, and then like it's clearly a biohazard. frankly, leaving
Yeah.
it buried down there is not safe enough. Like they should.
Oh no, but I mean, like you have to look at it from like if we're looking at it from like a survival perspective, absolutely perfect work.
Oh yeah, I just mean that they would have came back, tunneled a little hole, send some napalm down there, get her done. You know, like they,
Oh,
I just
yeah,
don't
yeah,
think
you
they
need
were
to-
done with that.
Yeah, maybe you need a different crew for that though.
Yeah, I think it's all metaphorical though. It's a cover up, literally. Right.
Right. Fair.
And yeah, and so like okay, fine, but that's not how I would cover that up. Like
They
covering
literally
up would be a
covered
little
it up.
different. I like how easily. Okay, so this movie also reveals to us, I think, in a way that, at least in a lot of the episodes of the X-Files that I've seen, I haven't seen all of them, not even close. But this one is one of the first ones that I've seen in my recent viewing that actually like just shows us how the conspiracy operates. So they roll on into this town. Fucking black helicopters galore, tanker trucks. Like, it's wild. Like, it's an ET operation shows up. And so they pay everybody to be silent. They literally build a fence around all the houses. They build a fence around all the houses. They give everybody a bunch of money and some bikes, and they just like, don't talk about this.
That's fair.
That's how it
Nice
works.
new park. Yeah.
Yeah, you get a nice new park out of this. It's fine. Everybody's happy. And it's foiled by like 3 children.
They can shut their mouths. That's why you really should go through the town with like flamethrowers and stuff, but they're just, I guess, getting soft.
That's what I'm talking.
Kids can't
Napalm,
talk.
man.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it just like at a certain point, and I know this is a classic sort of rejoinder to conspiracy theory in general, but like you could never get away with all of this. Like,
No.
American can barely bomb the Houthis without it end up.
This literally came. I watched it literally the day that they had that signal chat and like just like
Right.
gave all their plans up on a public network. I was like, I don't believe the government is competent. I don't believe conspiracies are competent.
No.
Yeah, it's a fun fantasy if you're a paranoid right-wing lunatic, but
Yeah. One thing that was good about the TV show at this point, so the X-Files season 5, like we're getting a lot of like the cigarette smoking man is like they attempt to assassinate him. He survives, comes back, and he's operating his own agenda, kind of Agent Smith style. There's all sorts of like intrigue amongst the cabal or whatever. There's conspiracies within conspiracies. You got Krychek fucking bopping around. Some UN lady who's having an affair with Krychek. It's just a real fucking mess. It's Dallas all of a sudden. And yeah, just something as cheesy as it is, and I do think season 5 of the X-Files is like absolutely, at least the mythological episodes are just trash. Like, oh my goodness. There's something real about that, right? Like politics is conspiratorial at its base. And it's just like, how transparent do you conduct yourself is the question. But at the end of the day, everybody's conspiring with each other. Like, it's just how that works. Or not just with each other, like against each other. Like Bob in accounting is pissed off at Suzette in filing, and they're having like some sort of weird war. But at the same time, they're also like conducting the plot of their administrator. Just the bullshit of humanity. Sorry, James, you wanted to say something.
No, I was just gonna say, like, in some cases it seemed like they're like especially the police seem to be like somehow strangely motivated to basically push the narrative of whatever they're told to. Like,
Yeah.
Hey, you better go over to Krychek's house. He's got kitty porn. We'll give you an inside scoop on this. They roll in force, looking to hard bust the guy based on like, what intel are you doing that for, and why are you so motivated to do it? It's like, if they're in on it, that's horrible, and then if they're not in for it, they're so aggressive about their ignorance, and then every agency has that same sort of edge to them. It's I don't know.
Yeah, well, there has to be ears everywhere. There's eyes everywhere. Like when Scully gets fuck that bee. But when Scully gets stung by that bee, and they she's getting pulled away by the paramedics or whatever. Like it's part of the conspiracy right away, right? Like,
Yeah.
they've got her, and you're like, you guys just waiting around by the phone for bee stings? Like, what are you doing?
But who authorized well, that's the funny thing too. They got him bugged, but who authorized the kidnapping of Scully and shooting Mulder straight in the face? Like, you're telling me a secondary government institution authorized that? That's fucking crazy.
That's a good question. I guess the English dude says that he got orders to kill Mulder, so I guess maybe they finally tipped the scale. But it isn't clear when or how. And then I don't know. You're right. Those guys act really independently.
Yeah, he's on the trail of this black goo thing. Like he's about to uncover the FEMA camp conspiracy, extraterrestrial virus thing.
Because they were on the base at that point. Maybe they've left something.
Yeah, I know. They're like Mulder, like even at the end, that fucking name again,
Yeah.
They're like, okay, but
the
still,
X-Files are open. I just like.
I like that. That was neat.
These people can do anything. They're everywhere, doing everything, and like he's a member of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Like, how hard would it be to stifle this guy? Put him on an administrative leave with pay.
He would enjoy that.
Yeah, it's true. Like,
more time for his hobbies.
You assigned him to the fucking Unabomber case a minute ago. Like, how hard is it to just not do that again? Like, put him on fucking busy work. Sorry, Mulder, you're going to Waco to look for fucking conspiracies in the oil fields. Like, sorry, buddy.
I guess I'll let him here. You just can't stop him.
Yeah,
I guess that's it. Well, he is a bit of a force.
Like a proper X-File is like a great diversion for Mulder because he's not tripping over the larger conspiracy. Chase Bigfoot in Jersey. Go ahead.
Yeah. That's a good role for him. Like they're smart, and he's not, and he's such an easy to kill. They know where he is.
And he's like, he's like brutally, like, to the best of my knowledge, he's not scientific minded, really. He's completely inept at unarmed combat. He can barely fire a fucking sidearm. I just don't understand how he's so relentless. It's just heart. He's running on pure heart.
The truth is out there for this guy. Like, he's a weird zealot. Like he's, I think they could have sold that a bit better on this one. Like he's the sort of just asking questions type of conspiracy theorist in this. But like a dramatic representation of it. He's out there just like probing the edges, but he doesn't. Oh no, actually, I'll take that back because he does have very clear convictions. Like when he's trashed and he's talking to the bartender.
I love that
little speech. Yeah.
That was great.
There'll be
I'm a
a
constant embarrassment to
shitstorm of
my
this-
supervisors at the center of an extraterrestrial conspiracy. Like that'd be a wild patron to have come into your bar.
But that's that. So again, getting back to season 5, like, and I don't know if you picked this up, Chris. You watched the last episode, like the end.
Yeah, Bobby Fischer kid.
Yeah. Okay. So that I think it's represented in that. But like Mulder at this point in the X-Files no longer believes in aliens, and Scully's become the one that believes in aliens.
What?
Yeah, and Mulder's like he thinks that the government is using aliens as a cover story for what they're actually doing, and there are no aliens. And you're like,
Okay.
what? You've literally seen aliens before, dude. Like you've seen. There's no shortage of proof that like so he's gone through like whole mindfuck thing.
Okay, so my question about that then, because the one thing that really stood out to me as hilarious from that episode is at the end, like he confronts that guy and he's like screaming about ancient aliens, and then at the end Skinner's like, oh yeah, he has this quote about you talking about ancient aliens. It looks really bad on both of you. So is this sort of like Mulder like finding his groove again? Like he suddenly like has discovered aliens again?
Yeah, because like Dana, like Scully ended up, I don't know, she had some fucking implant with cancer. There was a whole cancer story about her. Like it's fucked. But he is getting his groove back. But like mid-season, he's totally anti-alien.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that look from Mulder. I find the ancient alien side like really like just gives me. I mean, I guess we just know so much more about that worldview and like the sort of like underlying. I guess maybe not everyone knows this, but like there typically is sort of this like almost like white supremacist slant to those conspiracies where like the good aliens will have like civilized Europe, but then like everyone else is sort of like products of bad alien. Like it replicates itself in the structure of alien conspiracies, and it's like when you see it, it's really sketchy. So to have him just kind of touting that shit, you're like, oh, like I know this is more innocent time in alien conspiracy. I get that.
Yeah, I don't know if it was an innocent time. I think that they're depicting it as an innocent time. And like Chris Carter has no desire to his credit, to perpetuate sort of like a mythologized race theory.
Definitely not.
But but that shit's in there, and the Anunnaki or whatever, they're Jews, like it's just it's awful. But it just seems so innocent, right? The aliens, how did you build the pyramid? It all starts with the pyramids, man.
Yeah.
How did they build the pyramids? I have no idea.
It was possible to be naive about it. And maybe it is still, I don't know. Like,
it's possible to be naive about it now. Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's the greatest crime. The greatest trick the devil ever played was making it seem that ancient aliens weren't super racist.
True.
Yeah. So that bee, man, back to the fucking bee. They were about to kiss. That is a super bee. That bee, getting back to the 48-hour timeline. Yeah. So it stays on her shirt, like her coat, through an entire flight. Like she gets through checkout. She doesn't take a shower or whatever. Fine. Doesn't take off her coat.
Makes an appearance at the meeting.
Yeah, just to let us know. Oh yeah, this is Chekhov's bee, ready to go. And just as they're about to kiss or whatever, this was the I guess this was the big moment in the romance.
It's such bullshit. Like why?
Yeah.
Like I understand you don't want to do and even people talked about it at the time, like honeymooners, they destroyed that show by having them get together. They were very conscious of that sort of dynamic and how it could fizzle out.
Mm-hmm.
But you gotta like just interrupt a kiss. Like it's so stupid.
It's a movie, man. We're doing with big emotions or whatever, the audio. And this is so my point of bringing up season 5 so much and contrasting it against this movie is to kind of illustrate that this is a big advertisement for the X-Files, but not the X-Files as it existed, but the X-Files as it existed 2 years prior. Or even, like, it's like, what are the essential elements of the X-Files? What is an X-File? And we'll make it a bit bigger, we'll make it grander, and it's not going to fit with the TV show at all. And who cares? It's like Doctor Who and the Daleks movies. It's right in that sort of tradition of making movies on a TV show where it kind of vibes, and because the show had been doing the Black Goo stuff for a while and the vaccine stuff, like that part tracks over. But nothing else. Like, we don't get the impression that literally Fox's office just went up in flames at the end of season 5. Everything burnt, and then this movie is just like, we're off the X-Files now, Homer.
And they had proven that, like, there's a kid who has psychic ability, like, it was like beyond doubt. No, like, that kid doesn't. I think in a later episode he comes out of hiding for something like that, but like they just forget all about him. Like in this, like there's is weird. I do like that vaccination saves the day. I feel like that's a redeeming thing.
That vaccination's going to save the Earth. It is quite charming, isn't it? It's like okay, all right. I honestly didn't give it enough thought. Strangely enough, I was just like, oh, they're talking about vaccination. Fucking, of course it's bad, but like technically it's not.
Yeah. Save Scully's ass.
Yeah, sure shit did. So, like, were you guys struck by the alien craft, like with all the pods and everything? Like, this is 1998. This is pre-Matrix. That was so Matrix.
This was incredible. Yeah, and it was it. I think Matrix and this were in too close of like production proximity to maybe steal from each other, but yeah, this was like, that was outrageous.
It makes me wonder
unique.
where they're stealing from. Like, both sources have a source. I'm a little curious about that. Anyway, sorry, I cut you off, James.
No, I was just gonna say the design was very unique, and the scale of it that they went for, even though you're green screening a little bit, a lot, but it still looked very good, and very good practical sets, and like banging you up, and how he sort of like moved through like the sewers of that ship just to get down to all those pods, and then the aliens like birthing at the end. That was fantastic. I don't know. It was a very it was a good sequence with like good practical effects and good sets. But yeah, there was very much a Matrix, like it was like the battery pods all over again.
Yeah.
And utilizing bodies for fuel and stuff. Like
not just that, the color scheme and the vastness of it or whatever. Like it's too striking and precise. Yeah. It's very like, and I understand that parallel development happens but there's. Yeah, I didn't look into it, and I wouldn't even know how to look into it, frankly.
No.
But I wonder if it's like I bet manga is the explanation. I don't know why I think that, but I feel that.
You know what? That's
like Akira or something's at work here.
I don't think you might not be too far off there.
Well, Ghost in the Shell has that kind of color scheme, right? And it's very much like the Matrix owes so much to Ghost in the Shell.
That's true.
Quite a lot of things do, as a matter of fact. And I'm looking at the set design or the matte design. Like this is probably all matte painting with some animation. Anyway, it just looks even Giger-esque. So it's
that's
kind
what
of,
I thought.
Yeah.
I was wondering if there's maybe riffing off of Alien a little bit, but I mean, like, as clearly, they were for the whole film.
I like how easily he finds Scully in that entire apparatus. Now,
I didn't think about that, but it wasn't. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
there was a lot of pods.
And he's got to do an Indiana Jones on his way down. You're like, okay, all right.
Yeah, and he just ended up in like an absolute sweet spot, even though he should be like God fucking knows where on that ship.
Oh, and it's like, well, fortunately, it's a giant cavern, right? Like, how many spaceships are giant? I don't know. I don't know. I did a lot of spaceships, but it seems unlikely that they'd just be giant caverns full of
Oh,
pods.
there's an Arthur Clarke story that's kind of like that. I forget what
Oh
it's
shit.
called, but it was like a giant hollow space inside, and
Okay.
yeah. Anyway,
All right.
there you
Well,
go.
yeah.
Established.
That's got to be part of it. Um. Yeah, and at the end, so it gets pretty clear that like he saw a bunch of aliens in this, as he
Such
always
bullshit.
does.
Yeah, and then of course Scully is not conscious when the literal spacecraft takes off and flies overhead.
She said
Yeah.
she saw it.
She'll forget.
You don't bite it?
No,
She didn't
By
see
the-
shit.
by the time season 6 rolls around, she'll have forgotten it all.
They do go looking around for someone who's sweating with the black goo or whatever. Like they at the end they discover that all humans have a little bit of alien in them. Okay, you're like, okay.
A little bit
But,
goo.
but I guess like honestly, like I think the show like I'm sure there's very strong episodes in the way that the Twilight Zone has very strong episodes, but or Outer Limits or something like that. But like I didn't really like much of what I was seeing in season 5. Not to harp on it too much, and I didn't get a good vibe off 6. I think that it kind of ran its course and like whatever flow they had in the first. Unlike The Simpsons, where the first 3 seasons you skip them completely, and just go straight to season 4 and onwards. Unlike that with the X-Files, I think like you're better off staying season 1 through 3. It's a little more punk rock, a little more rock and roll in those eras because they're just like swinging for the fences. I'm just mixing my metaphors all over the place. And yeah, and then at a certain point they kind of like fall into a groove. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess we'll see.
That could be true. I think I was thinking that you're right in your initial assessment that the more you learn about these conspiracy and the mythology episodes, the dumber they seem, and the better the standalone seem in contrast. So yeah, I felt.
Yeah, no, yeah, and
Even though it's an enjoyable ride, like and like you say, like the I think the dynamic of the always shifting soap opera of the syndicate is compelling, but like the broad strokes are yeah, I don't know.
I was sad to see the well manicured man, the British fella, die. I always liked
Car
him.
Bomb, classic.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he was. I was gonna say toast. I'm trying to stop myself.
Do you make toast with an exploding car?
Yeah, well, he's literally toasted, and yeah, and then I guess old OBGYN was in the trunk too, wasn't he?
Oh yeah, classic.
Or that was
I missed
implied.
that.
Yeah. He was. Although, like we never see the body.
Gone. Yeah, true.
Yeah, and
I
he's
mean, if you want to play that, you could have that old fucker come out of the woodwork.
Yeah,
again.
they could have Walter Landau come back as. That would have been all right, man. I like his faces. He looks like a fish creature.
Yeah, he is.
Something out of Lovecraft.
I really didn't care for his face at all. It really stays with you. Like,
speaking of aliens and race science, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So I like this movie. I don't think it was a bad movie. I don't. Obviously, the caveman thing could have come out. So much of Gillian Anderson get the thing ripped out of her mouth right now. He pulls that cord for a long time.
Oh. Yeah, she went through some practical effects there that maybe I don't know.
Probably easy. No, it's probably easy to pull off. You just put a lot of hose in your mouth and just pull the hose like
well, yeah, I guess.
Oh.
Anyway,
I don't know.
enjoy it.
Intimacy coordinator wouldn't let you get away with that nowadays.
Yeah. There's a book devoted to making the X-Files that I couldn't put my hands on in time, or the X-Files movie.
Oh.
So I guess there's bits about special effects, pretty much the whole thing. Which is weird because like the movie was they kept this movie very like it was a conspiracy essentially. It was all hushed up. The script was they only ever put it out on red paper, so you couldn't photocopy it. They had
What?
code names for it. They sent misinformation into the media sphere.
You know what? That's
Yeah.
fun, but also
No, but it's such an important part of the thing. Right? Like what's the people really wanted to know what the conspiracy was, like with the aliens and stuff. Like they really thought that Chris Carter knew what he was doing. Like a lot of it was improvised. A lot of it's just kind of like on the fly and riffing off this and riffing off that. And it kind of works, but it really doesn't. But yeah. So people wanted to know.
That's probably a good summary for the X-Files in our investigation into it.
I think so.
Kind of works, kind of doesn't.
Yeah. Kind of works, kind of doesn't. Yeah. Okay, yeah, all right. So I guess next week, James and I were going to do the Authority, Warren Ellis's Authority, back to the Warren Ellis well, because it's Eat the Rich April, and I know the Authority doesn't actually. Well, my thesis is that the Authority doesn't actually supports the status quo, but we'll test that. Yeah. You can too, audience members, after you support Wikipedia.
Even in our supposed free society today, there is a censorship of omission.
Yes.
And there is a tyranny of inaccurate information. So while we have personal freedoms, as the world may never have known before, I don't know what good they do you without information, without real good information. You have no direction to go but in a circle.
But Art, it's even more basic. When Ben Franklin was asked by that nameless woman after the Continental Congress, in Philadelphia, what kind of a government we had, and he said to her, "Madam, a republic." He also then added, "If you can keep it."
Mm-hmm.
The keep it part is you got to do your homework. You can't turn this over to experts.
Right.
And what we've done is turned over our lives, our reality, to a bunch of experts. What I'm trying to do in this investigation, with the help of some very dear friends and colleagues and more growing every day, and now democratized through this marvelous new tool called the Internet, where we launched the Enterprise mission this evening to boldly go where someone has gone before. We are trying to democratize a process. It's not so much that we have wisdom, sir. It's that we have a process for ultimately, if we, live long enough, acquiring a modicum of wisdom. Everybody can do this. This is not, pardon the pun, rocket science.